Hello again. I've noticed that despite urging us all to treat everybody equally, left-wing and liberal types adopt the most hideous double standards when it comes to talking about the behaviour of different ethnic groups. We've all seen photographs of Boris Johnson and David Cameron at Oxford when they belonged to the notorious Bullingdon Club. This was renowned for the antisocial way in which its members behaved. Drunkenness, shouting, and, well, that's about it, really. They were young men who got drunk and were a bit of a nuisance. Left-wing newspapers, though, have focused upon this kind of thing as though it were a dirty secret, that even prime ministers had a bit too much to drink when they were young and became a little bit disorderly sometimes. Contrast this with the enthusiasm which the BBC and newspapers like The Guardian display for the events where young black people grow rowdy. Ah, the wonders of the multicultural society. We see clips of film of the most awful vandalism. A bunch of young black people jumping up and down on the roof of a bus shelter until it collapses, but nobody is arrested for this vandalism. In fact, nobody even calls it vandalism. The police assure us that only minor injuries were caused. Phew, that's a relief. Imagine if that damage had been caused by drunken white students from Oxford University wearing evening dress. It would have soon been described as shocking behaviour of privileged youths. The phrase most used to describe the Notting Hill Carnival, which was held over the bank holiday weekend, was largely peaceful. I love this expression. Only one person killed, only a number of violent incidents and serious stabbings, according to the police, together with 8 arrests for sexual assaults, 27 for public order offences, 33 for possession of offensive weapons and 46 for assault. I would hate to see what a musical event would look like that was not largely peaceful. This, then, is the double standard to which left-wingers hold middle-class white people and working-class black ones. They don't know that they're doing it, and nor, I'm sure, do they realise how horribly patronising they're being. They are saying, in effect, that one cannot expect black people to behave as well as white folk, and we must make allowances. I reject this awful philosophy utterly. If a group of white youths in Loughton, where I live, climbed on top of a bus shelter in broad daylight in a crowded street and jumped up and down until it collapsed, I hope that the police would come along and arrest them for vandalism and also for endangering or injuring passers-by. I would be disgusted if the police checked only that these hooligans hadn't hurt themselves too badly before leaving the scene and letting them get away with it. Largely peaceful. The Notting Hill Carnival is essentially an open-air music festival, like Glastonbury or Glyndebourne. Let's look at Glyndebourne in Sussex, where 150,000 people go to enjoy opera over the summer. Try and imagine if you heard that during the last performance at Glyndebourne, somebody in the audience had been stabbed to death and over 400 others arrested for sexual assaults, possessing knives and so on, and that there had been a number of other serious stabbings. And then imagine that some fool told you that everybody had had a wonderful time at Glyndebourne and that the event had been largely peaceful. You would think this is a completely mad thing to say, wouldn't you? That is because subconsciously we have a certain set of standards which we apply to middle-class white people and expect them to adhere to. Yet when people say exactly this thing about the Notting Hill Carnival and describe it as largely peaceful, we're expected to agree. Why? Because the unspoken assumption is that we must apply different standards to black people and cannot really expect them to behave themselves with as much restraint as white people. This is shocking. I'm sure there is a word for it when people work on assumptions of this kind and take it for granted that black people cannot behave as well as white folk. Oh yes, that's right. It's racism. Those who excuse or exculpate crime committed by black people in a way that they would not tolerate in whites are racists.